Hello, everybody. Welcome to the OFLM transfer roundup with me, DJ. I've been trying to put this together for a little while. Been looking at all the transfers on the transfer page, trying to make sense of a few of the deals, the loans. Left it for a couple of weeks because obviously there were squads that were trying to get their quality of staff sorted out, trying to get those last minute deals done before the start of the league. And so now we've reached week two, and it's all looking pretty like most of the squads have now been sorted. Most of the managers now know their strong 16s. They know what they're going to be rolling with for the rest of the season. So I came to the conclusion by looking through the transfer page that there are just so many transfers and too many complications to name every single manager and every single deal that's happened. So I've kind of made a little summary notes to myself. I'm just going to run through some of my opinions and some of the deals, and some of the deals I think have been pretty good. I know that there are probably going to be ones I'm going to miss out, some probably quite big ones. Apologies if that is the case. But these are the ones that kind of jumped out at me. Some of the squads I think have really improved and could do well this season. So, I mean, I'm going to start right at the top. I'm going to start straight away with the Division 1 and looking at mostly harmless. Mike Bernard again. He's obviously been mentioned quite a few times, but I think he's been very astute in what he's done in the transfer window. He started off by improving his midfield. He's obviously got that big goalkeeping academy, and he quickly sold off a few of his goalkeepers to improve his midfield, particularly a 23-30 rated player from myself. An even better player, swapping for a goalkeeper there, an even better player from Aero Galaxy, Baptista. Look out for him. He will make big increases this season. He swapped him for a goalkeeper and a defender rated 23-23. So Aero Galaxy ended up getting a very good deal there. A goalkeeper that's going to be seeing them rise through the tables, probably through the divisions, I would have thought, within a matter of seasons. Ray Wallace is very astute, knows his tactics, and I can see him improving as a result of this transfer. And guarantee Ray will be looking for more transfers, and certainly in the position of midfield. Having looked at his team, he is training that position, but that's the position where I see him needing a little bit more strength. Staying with mostly harmless, the biggest transfer I saw for them was Valia Popello. Valia Popello, the 40 rated striker, not the best secondary stats, but the guy bangs goals in for fun. A deal with Red Star Spartak and Nick Jones, who's a new manager there, but he seems to have negotiated quite a good deal, and fair play to Mike for sort of giving away some players here. He's gone with giving away Pat Sharp, centre forward, 28-year-old, 35 rated. He of the Funhouse fame. He's given away a 25-year-old, 32 rated goalkeeper. Red Star Spartak have always desperately needed a goalkeeper. And also they finished off by giving away an 18-year-old, 18 rated midfielder. The balance of that deal I see as being very fair. Obviously, I think that Red Star Spartak needed a goalkeeper. They've got a 25-year-old with life there. They've got a centre forward to replace the outgoing Popello, 5 ratings lower than the player that they were selling, and they've also managed to get a 18-year-old and an 18-rated midfield player out of mostly harmless as well. So there's certainly some future. There certainly is what AD Burke would say, some lifespan potentially there for Red Star Spartak and Nick Jones. So moving forwards, I can see that benefit in both sides. And then obviously there was also another deal for another goalkeeper. Falkirk Hotspur, they swapped a goalkeeper, 22-year-old, 31 rated goalkeeper with Falkirk for a 22-year-old, 28 rated in midfield again. It's a no-brainer really. That's an area where Mike's trying to strengthen. He's got so many goalkeepers he can afford to do this, and he finished off by paying 27 million for a defender, 21-year-old, 21 rated Caleb Crawdad from Hebden Bridge Aliens, who we'll come on to a little bit later on in this. I mean, that's how you strengthen your team. Classic, great transfers all round. He's brung his age down even further now. And he's looking a strong force, Mike Bernard, for the next couple, well, certainly for the next few seasons. So he's one to watch, in my opinion. Moving on, I summarised here. Dudley Dragons have been busy in the window, and they had some money saved up for a rainy day, and lo and behold, they managed to land a couple of very good players. They started off their window, from what I can look by signing Igor Gregovic, from the Incredibles in a cash deal, a 26-year-old, 25 rated defender, I believe, from the Incredibles. And to be fair, £37.5 million for a defender at the current market, you're going to be paying quite a lot for him. We don't really need to go into whys because it's been discussed by many managers on Addy's channel. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes you've just got to play the money. He has in this instance, and he's got his player for cash. So, any cash deal in this market at the moment on a defender is pretty good. Um, the big one for me though is looking at Danny Marks, the forward, 32 rated forward coming over from WBA Baracus. The deal there, having spoken to the managers to just try and get an understanding of it, was Danny Marks has come into Dudley. WBA Baracus are getting Stelios, a forward and with a huge potential, 19-year-old, 22 rated at this moment in time. A 16-year-old, 14 rated defender, with defenders being so scarce at the moment and held by so many academies. Probably a good deal for WBA to be able to build that player up over a couple of seasons. And a £5 million, so 5 million in a Division 4 side. Luke probably may need a bit of money, and he might be planning some other deals. Probably might have even used the cash already for another deal, which I've overlooked. So, balanced so far. Suits both teams. Obviously, Luke is playing the long game. Fair play to him for making that decision. Obviously, I've already been outspoken on the Danny Marks issue. But you never know. He could still get promoted from Division 4 this season and still build, Stelios and his team further. So, on the balance of things, you'd have to say that deal's pretty fair, and suits both parties. Dudley Dragons are looking to get promoted. They're favourites to do that, and this forward will help. They also signed a 27-year-old, 25 rated midfield player for £20 million, and they needed the bodies in midfield. So that seems to have been an area where Daniel Perry has strengthened in defence, the forward and midfield. He's already got a strong side, and he has already got some good loans coming in. Three in particular from me, also in the defensive category. So he's looking strong there. So look for him to do well this season. Okay, so I know Scrutlington Rovers, and Luke Mitchell, who I just like to wish a speedy recovery to, before we go any further. A top lad and a very good guy to sort of speak to on the forums. I wish him all the best with his recovery. I'm sure that everyone echoes that. I know he's obviously been a bit slow in his deals because he's got more important things to be worrying about right now. But from what I can see, he signed a 20-year-old, 25 rated forward called Oliver Queen, he of Arrow fame. I'm watching that series at the minute. Through the first season, want it to get better. For 39 million from Emlyn, I think, at Leicester Lightning. It looks, for me, I can't see any sort of deal going the other way. So I've said 39 million. I'm thinking that might be the case. I might be wrong on that. Probably will be corrected many times in the forums on these. But at the moment, that looks like it's kind of a cash deal, and I've not been able to sort of see it going the other way. So, yeah. Well, Scrutlington have got the cash. They're also selling Joshua Skinner to Stockport. They're doing another deal with Stockport, and I believe it's for a coach. So they really want to develop their team, and they may have to take a few steps backwards to go forwards. And I did speak to Luke about this. Crazy deals. How he can get it through quality of staff remains to be seen. Great deal for Simon Hallows. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I think he's realised, Luke, that he's going to need to get a coach in the door. He's going to need to get a coach of quality. He's going to need to set his own area, and he's going to need to train that area and sort things out. So moving forwards, it looks like he's going to take a few steps backwards to go forwards, which is fair enough because Scotland are at that stage now where they need to develop. Youth players coming through, squad's getting on. They're not as far ahead as maybe in terms of personnel at the moment of a mostly harmless, a Cornish Revolution. Yeah, I wouldn't say Tower so much, but at that sort of level of personnel. But I'm sure that with Luke's foresight, he can sort of turn things around and rebuild there. They're still a great side. They'll do fine. Quickly looking through then, Ding Chavez, £35 million, 26-year-old, 25 rated defender from FC Westleigh, the Dublin Dominators, in a cash deal. Great deal for Dublin Dominators, who are desperately in need of defenders for the future. They've always had old defenders. They've always seemed to be on the aging side, but now they look like Mark McConnell's looks like he's now starting to build his defence for the future. He's got some good players in those positions, and if you've got the cash in this market in defenders, you might as well start biting people's hands off because they are so scarce, and we know that. So good deal there. I can't see any swap deal there either. So Incredibles, Rich Edmonds. He's done quite a few deals. I've kind of glossed over a few, but I saw that Junior Howlett was a forward, 20-year-old, 24 rated, and 35 million quid. I think he came from Leicester Lightning again. And you have to say it's just adding to the Incredibles, forward line for the future. Rich Edmonds has his plan, and he's going about it very well and very, very methodically. I expect to see Howlett, out on loan. I expect to see him improving very fast, getting some game time. It's one thing that Rich is very much keen on for his players to get game time. So he'll rise, and it's a good deal there. Again, cash. So from what I can see, I may be very wrong. Charles Dole, 26-year-old, 28 rated striker. In a swap deal for Hornswoggle, it looks like, I've put a question mark, I'm not quite sure, but it's between Brahma Bulls, Guy, Walsh, and Stu Stansfield at Falkirk, and Hornswoggle is a 21-year-old, 21 rated defender, I think. Defenders are so scarce at the moment that you're swapping players for maybe a 26-year-old, 28 rated striker. Does Stu need one of those? I don't think he does. He's thinking ahead. And this is what we're talking about in terms of managers having different ways of playing the game. Stuart is renowned for deals. He loves deals. He lives for deals. And here is one right for him now, and he's done quite a few in this window. We'll get on to the other one he's done now. The big one, Perry Markick, turned 30. I think he's 31 now. Was it Cornish? 40 rated striker. Very aggressive 40 rated striker. But a 40 rated striker nonetheless. £50 million paid to Cornish Revolution, plus an 18-year-old, 18 rated midfield player. Well, Stu has a conveyor belt of midfield players, and he has the cash to do the deal to sign Perry Markick, a 40 rated forward. They don't come along very often, these 40 rated players. So he's got lifespan, a few years, but he may be enough to keep Stu in the division. You never know. Perry Markick bangs goals in for fun. Every season he's scored a lot of goals for Cornish Revolution since Conway's used him, had him in his squad. So all in all, it looks a very positive move by Stu. And Conway, again, the dynasty that is Cornish Revolution, and the money that they must have now in the bank is going to be frightening. Sent him a text the other day to ask how much it was, and he didn't reply. That pretty much means it's a lot of money. And then we go on to I've put a little note here. Richard Gubby. I put it in brackets, exclamation marks. Gubby online. 13.5 million. He signed Dwight Phillips, who was the free agent, probably the best free agent that was on the market. if we're all honest, and it was a defender again. It was a 20-year-old, 17 rated defender, obviously behind in development, needed a bit of work. I was interested to see how much this guy was going to go for. Um, didn't have a clue who was going to sign him. Wasn't interested in myself on this one. I had him previously, and then unfortunately Kerry had some contract issues, so Kerry bought him from me for some money, and then end of that season he lost him, which was a bit disappointing for him. But yeah, so Cubby got hold of him. Fair play, Rich is very quiet on the old front now. He's got more important things to be doing in his life. But he's got that player, and he'll develop at Olympic Milan, and he'll be a future Milan player for sure. Haven't even looked yet at Milan's decreases at the end of the season. I dread to think what sort of state they're in. But they seem to be getting results. They managed to get a result against Chris in the first game. So yeah, good deal for good. I mean, he's got cash, so he's gonna try and buy whoever he can. FC Vikings and Chris Hopton. Well, Chris Hopton has signed a goalkeeper, and he desperately needed one. The goalkeeper came from me, a 27 rated one, nearly 28 rated, and he swapped it for a midfield player, 20, 22, 21, 22 rated, 21-year-old, 22 rated midfield player. He's been a bit shafted by the updates, so yeah, I think Chris could do away with. He's got quite a few midfield players. So it's a simple upgrade in the goalkeeping department. Sell a midfield player, develop some more midfield players. He's not going to miss out on anything there. From my point of view, I could have asked for a bit of cash on my end, but I decided not to. I think the deal was a little bit weighted towards Chris, in fact, because I didn't really need the midfield players, but I think Chris was desperate for a goalkeeper, and his constant hassling me and bothering me. I decided in the end it was time to sell the goalkeeper with the arrival of Martin Jory from Mike Bernard. So it was obviously I needed to offload. I had too many players, and it was good to be able to send him down to Chris for a bit of help on his part. So yeah, sometimes it pays to have friends in the game, doesn't it? But on this occasion, it's a pretty good deal all round. Wim Blocker, the legend that is Pablo Wim Blocker. He's been around for many years at the Perfect City. Centre back, defender. 38-year-old now, 29 rated, and that goes to show just how great a player Pablo Wim Blocker has been over the years. He's still 29 rated at the age of 38, and Ben has managed to sell him for 25 million to Kerry, and it's a great cash deal for Ben to get done, and Kerry needed the players, having lost a few of his players to contract issues. So all round, Kerry needs the defenders. Defenders are scarce. Kerry paid the money for his, and he's going to get a season out of him. He's going to get one season out of him before he disappears. But with this new up and coming issue with potentially 39-year-old players becoming coaches, might be an interesting one, because Wim Blocker, if ever there's been a standout player to become a coach after retirement, it may be this guy, because he's still rated high even at 38. So just have a little think about that. That would be cool. We mentioned earlier Hebden Bridge Aliens. We've mentioned earlier Cornish Revolution, who've been pretty quiet in this window, really. They haven't really needed to do very much business because their team's pretty much settled down. And then I'm just going to move on to just a quick little sort of summary of AC Koulios, because I haven't mentioned Sam Brown yet. And Sam Brown's team, one of the biggest deals he had to do this season was to improve his defence, having come up from Division 2 to Division 1. And he's managed to sign Pablo McGrath, a 25-year-old, 29 rated defender, off of Errigal United and David Hayner, and swap him for a midfield player, Danny Terza, who was a 22-year-old, and I think he was 28 rated, if I was right in remembering. So, Sam wanted a defender, and David was selling and wanted a midfield player, because that's a position that Errigal are sort of struggling in. So, it's a simple deal to do for both parties, and Uh, David also sold Johnny Red Sox to myself in the window, which was my biggest deal from him, and two defenders went to him as part of the deal. And I'm just looking at Erigle's team now, and it seems very, very balanced now. They seem to have improved their midfield. They have got some good loans in. Their centre forwards are still pretty much all kicking up the high 40s, two 40s and 137. Their goalkeeper's okay, so they're doing very well. Um, Maybe just a little bit more strengthening needed, long-term planning from David Hayner. He's got some good players out on loan, so he's doing very well. Um, and sometimes you've got to sell maybe a couple of stars to get some long-term talent in. So fair. That kind of concludes the roundup from my notes. We all know there's been tons and tons of other transfers done, um, and managers from all divisions. Well done. It's been tough. It's been a frantic few weeks. For those that have been online a lot, all those that just log on now and again, there's been so much activity. But I think the first person we need to sort of really take a little bit of time to thank is Kerry, and having to administrate all that must be an absolute ball ache. So I'd like to say thanks to Kerry for his patience, his help, um, because it is an absolutely must be such a difficult process, especially when we had some of the issues. Well, sure, managers have had issues with certain quality of staff, things that may arise. So yeah, fair play to Kerry once again for stepping up, as he always does, um, and has made the game a very quick transition from season 18 to, oh sorry, season 17 to 18. So thank you very much to Kerry. In terms of this, whatever this is, this has literally just been a test, really, guys, of AI movie app, and I've just been messing around with the music at the beginning. It might not be to everyone's tastes, just with the banner and that, just trying this out for the first time. So my quality might not be great, but and my one of my actual uh, speaks probably not great, but I mean I've just had a go. I've enjoyed doing it. Obviously I've got a little bit of time spare in the week now and again when I'm not training and stuff with the football, so I'm more than happy to carry on if ever Ali can't do his interviews, because I really have enjoyed listening to Ali. I'd rather listen to Ali than myself. But if anyone even wants to do like an interview over Skype or anything like that, should Adi have to stop doing his, then I'm more than happy to, guys. I really enjoyed the late, the sort of recent activity on the forums. These sort of extra media and sort of they bring an extra value to the community. I think they bring a lot more access for everybody to listen to outside and get an understanding of there are people behind the names and the little pictures online. There are personalities there. We're not all robots. We're not controlled by other people. We're not all grey and Debenham. So yeah, been good to listen to that. And like I say, to wish everyone a happy week on OFLM. Good luck on this Thursday, and peace.